Hello. I meant to film this a lot sooner. I wanted to film it and have this video out before the book came out, but it didn't. And so I'm going to review it anyway. But I read an ARC copy, or listened to an ARC copy of Hollow by Selena Myers. I'm a little scared to review this because Selena Myers, if you don't know, Selena Spooky Boo on the internet, is incredibly big and has a an insane not insane following, but insane number of people that follow her and love her. I'm one of her followers. I think she's really great. I really like a lot of what she does. This is my first time reading her books. I have been very scared to read the book. I know that other books she's put out in the past, she's like, oh, they had no editing and stuff. And so this is a revamped version of something that she published a long time ago. Hollow is a vampire book, and definitely you can get the nods to the Twilight girlies. Selena Myers herself is a Twilight girly. And I did not hate this book. I would like to preface, I did not hate this book. I thought it was very fun. I liked the journey our main character went on. That's always one of my favorite things. This book was surprisingly queer, and I say surprisingly queer because Selena's platform is not really a queer platform. She's much more into like the spooky stuff. She does a lot of stuff with Call Me Chris. Lately, she just had a baby. So a lot of her content is really just not queer focused. And so it was kind of a nice surprise to be like, oh, okay, we have a very queer cast here. And I'm not mad about it because as some of you may know, vampire lore in general is very queer coded. It's rooted in a lot of queer and otherness. So having that being brought forth into something that's more of, I don't want to say an urban fantasy, but it is a more like a country fantasy, it's in the backwoods kind of area. But it is a paranormal fantasy, and it was very, very fun and interesting how this went out. Now, we have our main character who is turned into a vampire. This is in the synopsis. That is not a spoiler. And she is essentially experiencing her first time or first days as a vampire in this book. And she meets two families who are all living in this town. There are two vampire like factions, basically, who used to be one conjoined family, and now they have split apart due to history. And for a long time, you start this book in a prologue, and I love me a prologue. This prologue went on for way too long, in my opinion. I was almost like I would rather the book just be about these characters than going and doing the time jump. I get why the prologue was important, but I think we could have cut a lot out of it to make it work for me. But this is essentially, the prologue is the main heads of these vampire factions in this town. And basically she has to choose which one to be in or go rogue. So she spends 24 hours with each family. And I think the timeline kind of hinders the story a little bit. I get in the end why it went this fast, and it is explained like usually you'd have more time. You'd spend like a week with each family, but they were pressed for time for a reason, which I will not spoil that part. The issue I had is some of that time, like when she is first meeting the other vampires, they're literally going down the line and saying, hello, this is my story. Hello, this is my story. Hello, and this is my story. And it's like so much information for the reader that when we split apart and she was spending more time, I'm like, I've forgotten who is who and why something is significant. So I think it could have been spread out a little bit more in the book. I do think this book could have probably used another 100 pages. That would have helped my enjoyment of it at the very least. It's still a nice, concise book. And so far, it says it's a standalone, definitely has an ending that goes, okay, so are we continuing? Are we going forward? I would definitely read a sequel for this because I was interested enough in it. I liked the romances that we have. A lot of the side characters were very fun, but because we had such rapid fire, when certain characters are unalived, I lost the connection to the significance to those deaths because I'm like, I don't remember who was who because it went by so fast. And that's really my only true critique of it. Everything else was very fun. We had a lot of fun references. Sometimes I don't really like popular media references, but it made sense for this one, especially to do the nods to Twilight. I think that was pretty funny and on brand for Selena. Yeah, I just think this book could have done another 100 pages and I would have been so much more happier. It was still very, very fun. It brought me back into the world of like the heyday of YA vampire books, and the kind of what the feeling you missed out of those, but in a much more queer way, which was again such a surprise, to have such a heavily queer coded, not queer coded, it's just a queer book, that was shocking because Selena doesn't really participate in her channel as queer media, you know. But I guess I was looking it up and she identifies as pan, and I'm like, cool, did not know that about you, which is fine because you don't have to have your, you know, entire identity be the center of your platform. I just was like, oh, well, this is pleasantly a lot more queer than I would have expected from her. So very, very fun. So this book came out on January 6th, and I'm just sad that I missed it out. Or did it come out today? January 7th. It's a Tuesday. It might have been the 6th or the 7th. I don't remember, but it's come out and I'm a bit late on reviewing it. But I did read it last year in 2025 for my January release for Herkyad. There you go. And if you haven't done the vampires, there you go. And if you need a bisexual, pansexual main character, there you go for Herkyad. What other ones does this qualify for? Subgenres, we have the paranormal fantasy. You could qualify it as urban fantasy. It's like, I think it's under 300 pages long. So if you need something a little shorter, like where else could it fit? Canada. I'm pretty sure it's set in Canada. It doesn't fully say. It's a fake town called Cedar Hollow. But yeah, there you go. It was a fun time. Much better time than I expected, because I did mention in like the Eldritch TBR, this was my least anticipated release of 2025, mostly because I was scared of doing the review for it and scared of what experience I would have with the book, but I was pleasantly surprised by it overall. So there you go. Check it out if you so desire. I'm going to go now. Bye.